All right, so Kim Iversen is a progressive YouTuber who has been on a massive rise lately, really new on the scene. I think her YouTube channel was created just like 6 months ago, and she's already over like 100,000 subscribers. So a very, very rapid growth went down. And as you guys know, I saw that she was having some pretty insane takes on Twitter. And honestly, it took me a while to even really decide to do a video because there were so many just like horrifyingly bad takes, but I still had waited on it. But it turns out to be the case that she is definitely a grade A moron. And, you can call her Kim Pool, Kim Rubin, whatever you want to call her. She's really stupid. And we're going to get into another situation that's another sitch of this. But before we jump into that, I do want to say we're over on Patreon, patreon.com/theprogressivevoice. I've got exclusive content over there for people who become patrons. So you got, video up about, the TYT and Alex Jones fight that happened at the RNC, where Jimmy Dore spat on Alex Jones. And I talk about that and just how, whether or not it could have gone better, just a bunch of videos on Destiny and Kyle Kalinske, etc., that you can access if you do head over to patreon.com/theprogressivevoice. And I want to give a thank you to Felipe, Michael Smith, and Greg Turk, and Chris Lockhart for all pledging over on Patreon. So go over there if you want to access patron-only content. But anyway, so back to the video here. As you guys know, there was a white supremacist attack that happened in El Paso, and I believe it was a Walmart. I actually watched a video of a guy who was in there who was recording during the shooting. And so Ben Shapiro sent out a tweet saying, hashtag white supremacist terrorism is terrorism and should be treated as such. It is an evil scourge that must be rooted out and destroyed. So, this seems to be like a really nice and cool tweet, and people are supposed to be like, wow, Ben, I don't always disagree with you, but hey, man, I respect you. That's the response you're supposed to get out that from, his mind, right? But as you guys know, he's been the person who's like pretty consistently been in the manifestos, not just those manifestos, but recall that the mosque shooting in Quebec, the most viewed account was Ben Shapiro, and there was a direct link to what radicalized him. He had a video up where he basically said that a vast majority of the over 1 billion Muslims are radical extremists, and he said something like a quote of like, it'll by the time they come and kill everyone, doesn't look like Barack Obama, it'll be too late. And so I was like, when I was watching, I was like, holy shit, what is wrong with you? Are you insane? And so the guy who's the Quebec shooter's name was I think Alexandre Bissonnette. He was like, oh, like I had to protect my family and stuff like that from these radical terrorists. So he's been responsible for a lot of this shit. Okay, that's what was weird about this. So Mehdi Hassan, along with a bunch of other people, quoted this quote that I actually didn't even know existed, and I know a lot of his old quotes, folks. You guys all know his Settlements Rock quote about how, Arabs like to live in open sewage while Israelis like to build stuff. If you have an EBT card, don't bend the brim of your cap, and you are sagging your pants, you're going to be a failure at life. Rap isn't music, all this other kind of stuff, right? We need to, I don't care about Afghan civilian casualties, don't care about, all this different kind of stuff, okay? All this kind of stuff. He also said, by the way, that being gay was only taken off of the DSM, which is like the list of mental disorders, because of social pressure. So, pretty crazy stuff. Here's another crazy quote from him that I didn't even know fucking existed. This one says, quote, "The next race war will come not from racist whites, but from racist blacks and Hispanics who feel empowered to act on the racism by an administration that excuses all minority misbehaviors," from Ben Shapiro back in 2010. So I gotta say, the quote, minority misbehavior, is a very weird one too. Sounds very demeaning and just odd in general. But this comment right here is, again, another type of comment that leads to the radicalization of people like this. Because if you're someone who's down that rabbit hole, right, and you're like on the verge or down the path of being radicalized into being like a terrorist who's like a white nationalist, white supremacist, how are you going to respond when you see that, when you read that? How are you going to respond? This is something that would put fear in that person, and then, make them inclined to act upon their shitty beliefs. So, they have the shitty beliefs that racist blacks and Hispanics are going to be ones who are going to be acting on the racism, carrying out attacks and stuff like that. So in their mind, they're like, you know what, I need to stop that. Okay, I need to stop. All of this stuff that's happening by this race. All these illegal things, killings, etc. And so it radicalizes someone and gets them into doing that. Now, Kim Rubin, or Kim Poole, whatever you want to call her, the dumbest take on the entire planet, she said, I'm honestly amazed you are all roasting a Jewish man over his take on white supremacy. A race war and white supremacy are two different things, and both can coexist. Racism is not limited to whites only. Why are you making me defend Ben Shapiro? So there's not a lot of coherency really going on in these kinds of tweets, honestly. She's really fucking stupid. But look, man, no one's making you defend Ben Shapiro. You're doing that on your own, okay? But what does him being a Jewish man have to do with literally anything, okay? This issue has nothing to do with being Jewish, not even in the same ballpark. It has just nothing to do with it whatsoever, okay? It's just random to bring that up. Like, what does him being Jewish have to do with anything? It doesn't mean anything. But then, it's like a race war and white supremacy are two different things and both can coexist. So I don't understand. What's your point? Like, what's your point? I mean, if to have a race war, there has to be some sort of supremacy involved. Otherwise, why the fuck would there be a race war? Why would two races go to war if there was not some feeling of supremacy? It doesn't make any sense. And then racism is not limited to whites only. Certainly it's not. I would agree with that statement. I think that's a fact. But the problem is what does that have to do with, what he's saying? So what is the truth of his statement, and what is the effect of his statement? Is there any truth that, in fact, the Obama administration excused all minority misbehavior, and therefore the next race war will not come from racist whites? Racist whites this time, they're going to be in the clear, because now the blackie is in office, and so he's going to let the blackies loose. That's what Ben Shapiro is saying there. So don't worry about the racist whites. Worry about the racist blacks and the Hispanics, the brown people. Worry about them. The black people. Worry about them. Okay? What is the truth in that? There's zero fucking truth in that, you fucking idiot. There's zero truth in that whatsoever. So the idea that you're defending Ben... I mean, this is just such a dumb hill to die on, dude. Like, why the fuck would you defend this comment from Ben Shapiro? Seriously. What on earth would incline you to be like, you know what? You know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to defend this comment that I just read from Ben Shapiro, where he claims that the President of the United States is going to, excuse all minority misbehavior, whatever the fuck that means. Okay, that sounds like a really fucking coded, like, weirdly laden type of shit. And you're saying that, the racist whites won't be the ones who are the culprit this time. It's going to be the racist blacks and the Hispanics. There's no truth in that. This is directly leading to radicalization. The whole point of pointing out this quote is that when you spark white supremacist terrorism, and then you say it's bad and needs to be evilly rooted out, you're trying to save your ass, A, and B, you were the cause of a lot of this shit, dude. He literally keeps popping up in all of their manifestos. All these motherfuckers. And like I said, the Quebec mosque shooter, Alexandre Bissonnette, the number one viewed account by that dude was Ben Shapiro. That's right. Ben Shapiro. Okay? That was the number one person. So, I just really don't know what being Jewish has to do with this comment whatsoever. And then a race war and white supremacy are two different things, and I just don't really understand it, to be honest with you. I'm really not sure, especially when you're talking about, like, she says a race war and white supremacy are two different things, and both can coexist. Dog, like, literally the quote itself says the next race war will come from not from racist whites. So it's like, it's intertwined in the own fucking comment. It's literally talking about the race war coming from racist people. So your whole comment is moot. And honestly, I never believed someone could be this stupid. This fucking dumb. I really could not believe this shit, honestly. It's really remarkable to me. If any of you guys are still watching her content, I really don't know what you're doing. But here's something interesting, too. She said this, too. At Timcast and at Ben Shapiro, I need to contact you too about something private but pertinent to you. I have contacted a few others about this who are also involved, but I can't connect to you personally, so I need you to please reach out. What the fuck is all that about? Now, I don't think she's gonna go on, the Daily Wire, like, Beanie Man show or something and just full sell out. I genuinely don't know what this is. I really don't know. I'm not even suggesting anything, seriously. I really don't know. I'm just curious. I want to know what the fuck is going on here. But anyways, that said, let me know your thoughts down below. Very curious to hear them.